There's no doubt about it. Advanced custom fields is one of the most amazing little things that you can add on with Oxygen. It's one of my favorite plugins. I use it on nearly every single site. Now we're going to just do a bit of an intro here. We're actually going to create our first advanced custom field together, and then we're going to show you how you can connect that data from the advanced custom field in the actual Oxygen template. And then we'll show you what that experience is like on the actual backend when the user is editing content or adding content themselves. So it's really, really cool. And it's going to be quite a fun one, and hopefully you learn something new. All right, let's get stuck into it. So here we are in the WordPress dashboard, and we're about ready to set up our first advanced custom fields. So on the left here, you'll notice that there's a custom field tab here. So what we want to do is go to field groups, and you should actually have nothing in your field groups here. So we want to add our first one. So click add new, and we're going to give this a name here. So we're going to add the title of something like page features. And the reason why I'm going to call this something like page features is because we can add more to this later if we want to. Now we're going to focus on creating our header image for now, but let's say we wanted to add things that were going to be custom on each page. For example, something in the footer, or something like a subtitle, or things like sidebars, for example. If we wanted to create custom fields for these, rather than having different blocks of groups or groups of groups, what we're doing here is creating one group for page features, and then we're creating all these different fields inside that. So at this stage, we're just adding the one for our image. So there's a few things we want to do here, and I'm going to point something out. With Oxygen here, it's got Oxygen open, and you don't really need to worry about this stuff at all. So some people get confused and feel like they need to try and connect this to the template here. That's not what you need to do, so don't worry about that too much at all. Just close that or minimize that. And what we're going to do here is a couple of things. We're going to add a new field. So we'll go add field, and we'll call this something like hero image. And then we'll click. And as we click off of that field, it'll automatically put in our field name. It needs to have underscores and be all lowercase. So it's best to let that fill that out based on your actual name. And then we can say what field type we want. So Advanced Custom Fields has a whole range of different fields that it will create for us. Things like numbers, passwords, files, checkboxes, things that relate to each other. But really what we're going to focus on now is our image. So we're going to click an image, and it gives us a few options. We can put in an array, a URL, or an ID. These actually spit out different code on the front end. You can leave this as an array. And this here, the preview size, what we're going to do is make sure that we change this to something like full size. Now this doesn't change anything that's on the front end, it's just what the people are seeing on the back end. By clicking full size, you're going to let them see the actual full image and get a better idea of what it looks like rather than it being a cropped little image. I want to make sure that this is required because I don't want people to be able to create a page and not add an image in here. So I'm going to force that to be required. So someone will need to have an image to be able to publish a page. So that's something that you can turn on and off. Now all of these other things are totally fine. We don't need any conditional logic. Some of these things here relate to when we're grouping these. So we might want two things next to each other, like a button and, a button color and the link that it goes to, or the button wording and the link. So you might have them as 50-50 width. And that way they're next to each other rather than being on top of each other in the back end when people are adding these advanced custom fields. So the next thing we want to do is set up some rules. So we want to show this actual advanced custom field when the post type is equal to a page, but that post type is not equal to a specific page. So what we're going to do here is select page and is not equal to our home page. So what we're saying is that only show this field if it's a page, so it won't show on posts, and only show this when it's not the home page. So you'll see it on every other page that isn't the home page, and you won't see it on posts. So let's click publish. And now if we go to say a page like services and we click edit page and you scroll down here underneath oxygen, you'll see that we've got this part here for a hero image. So I'm going to actually add this now. I'm going to add this just specifically to this web design page. I've uploaded a couple of photos, so let's add a different one here and click select. And you can see now this is where giving the people the full preview may be beneficial rather than a thumbnail, for example. So I'm going to click update view page and we won't see any changes just yet. So let's go into our Oxygen template and edit this and get started setting this up in Oxygen. And here we are in our Oxygen inside template. And what we want to do now is change this image here so that it actually picks up our advanced custom field image. So we're going to notice a couple of things break when we do this, and that's okay. You can set this up by creating some sort of conditional logic where you created a couple of versions of heroes and say display this in this situation and display this image in this situation. But we're going to keep this fairly simple. We're just introducing the concept of advanced custom fields here. So what we want to do is click this hero section. We'll go into advanced and go into background. And before we set a specific image here, so you would go browse and find the image you want for your background. What we want to do here is add some dynamic content. So we'll go to data and we can go to advanced custom fields here. Now we've only got one advanced custom fields. If we'd had more, it would give us a whole selection of them, but we've only got this one. So that's pretty simple. Click hero image and we've got a few options here because it's an image. We want to make sure this is set to our original size and we will click insert. And you'll notice that now it's gone blank. And that's because this page SEO packages doesn't have an image set up in its ACF field yet. But what I'm going to do is click save. And if we go back to this web design page where we change this image, if I click refresh, we'll see this update. Okay, great. It's picking up the new image. Now, what about all of our other pages? If we go through these, you'll see that yes, they're not actually picking up any image anymore. And that's because we're forcing it to grab an ACF field and one that doesn't exist. So we'll go to digital marketing, for example, and we click edit page. We can scroll down here and see that there isn't actually a hero image added. So we will actually need to go through here and start adding these images back to the pages. Yes, in an ideal world, I would have done this beforehand, and it wouldn't have been a problem. I would have been adding these images every time I created a new page. But it wasn't appropriate to actually give you this lesson until we'd done some of these other basics. So I'm going to go through here and start editing some of these. And I won't make you watch all of these, but what I'm going to do is just do a couple. We can see now that if we go to work, I click edit, I'll change this image here. Now you can create as many images as you want. You can have a different image for each page, or you can keep the images the same for each section, which is what I've done here. So if we go to services, all of these pages are going to show the same image. When we go to work, it will show a different image here. So I'm going to go through and change these images along here and set it up so all of our images are working again. And that's giving us a good guide to getting our ACF field set up. One last thing we should have a quick look at here is we pointed out that with the home page, we didn't allow that ACF field to show. So if we go to edit page on our home page and we scroll down to the bottom, there is no ACF field here. It's just our standard Oxygen stuff. So that's really good. We've got all that set up, and all I need to do now is go through and update those pages. Now I'll leave you to actually go through the pages yourself and add those images into your advanced custom fields. But hopefully you really found that one enjoyable, because advanced custom fields is something that I really do use a lot, and a lot of people rave about it. So if you've never used it before, hopefully now you have a good understanding of what it does, at least in its basic principles. We're going to look at it a little bit more in the future, but this was our first introduction and actually getting it set up. So hopefully you really enjoyed that one. All right, click complete and let's keep this stuff moving along, and I'll see you in the next lesson.